Hey, Matt Brookfield here. We're back at the summit of Hoth, and it's episode 9 of Eric Clapton Bluesbreakers, and it's the big one. It's the one you've been waiting for, the big old Steppin' Out. Hey, Mike Brookfield's here, and welcome to episode number 9 in Eric Clapton Bluesbreakers lessons. So we've been checking out all these John Mayall tunes on the Bluesbreakers album, and I suppose I'm going to make this the last one. This is kind of like the 9th video. You know, there's a couple of tunes on the Bluesbreakers album that don't have really guitar on them, and I think if the guitar isn't really that significant, then it's probably better me spending my energy producing videos on things that are really of a strong interest to you. So we'll make this the last one, but what a great fun journey it's been going through all of these tracks one by one. I've learnt a lot. Hopefully you've been learning too. So yeah, I mean, going forward, what I'm going to do next week actually is I'm going to premiere a video that I cut together of a gig that I did, and it's a 75-minute gig, and I got 2 sets of fan footage and kind of like edited it together, and the audio is just off the camera at the back of the room, so it's not like super pro audio or anything, but you know, the visuals are pretty high, you know, HD. So next Wednesday, instead of there being just like a regular lesson, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show that, which is basically me playing with my band in Whelan's, and it's a 75-minute show. So, I mean, the reason I do these videos really is to let you know that I'm a blues artist out there writing and playing my own material, and I obviously teach as well to support myself and my family, and you know, I'm a professional guitar player. That's what I do. So so it makes sense at this point maybe just to kind of throw that out there, and if you're interested, you know, please watch it, and I'll be on the live feed, and feel free to kind of say hello and ask any questions about this series or what you'd like to see in the future. And I have a pretty good idea what I'm going to do after that, because that gives me an extra week then to kind of be thinking about a formula of like going forward. I want to keep the Wednesday nights going and everything. But I want to tweak things so like the content is really, you know, concise and, you know, kind of a nice balance between what you guys want and what I'm passionate about. And then that seems to be a good balance of, you know, I will then continue doing it because I'm enjoying it. And then you're getting, you know, the benefits of either the guitar elements or just general kind of musicianship things. So I won't say anything more about it because I have a pretty good idea what I'm going to do, but I'm just kind of tweaking it at the moment. So so 2 weeks from today, you know, I'm going to start a new series, and next week I'm going to show the video of me and my band playing live in Whelan's, you know, and you know, it's, there's a lot of original tunes on there, and the you know, it's the first gig with the new band, so there's a warts and all element to it. But I think people like yourselves who like blues and rock, you know, it's all part of the experience, isn't it? Hearing, you know, I'll be going for things, sometimes I make it, sometimes I don't, but that's the danger element, which is the fun bit. Okay, let's get back to Steppin' Out and the Bluesbreakers. So this is one of the big iconic tunes of this album, isn't it? And I remember saying to myself many times, like before I'd learnt these, if I could just learn Hideaway and Steppin' Out from that album, I'd be pretty proud of myself. I think I'd be in pretty good shape if I could do that, learn them both all the way through. So I understand that it's really hard, you know. Now, I've done lessons on this before, probably going back nearly 10 years. Like, I put up a little series of lessons on this. And, you know, I've been putting up videos since 2007. You wouldn't think so, because, like, I'm hardly like a big YouTube channel or anything like that. But I've had fits and bursts. And this was one of the first things that I kind of tackled, was this and Hideaway. And I've always enjoyed kind of playing this, and actually just delving back into it for the sake of doing this video was really interesting, because you're always finding new things. You kind of going, oh yeah, he bends up and down and then back up again. I never realized he went back up again. And you go, wow, that just sounds that little bit more special, that little bit more closer to the original, you know. And when I kind of hear people play in this style really authentically, you know, I just go, geez, I wish I could do that, you know. And there's guys that can do that. Obviously, Joe Bonamassa and J.D. Simo, two pretty, well-known YouTube and blues artists, you know. But a lot of YouTube content of those guys playing in this style really, really well, you know. So hopefully these videos help you get a little bit closer, and they've helped me definitely get a little bit closer. So you can watch the full performance of the track Steppin' Out now. So there you have it. Once again, if you want to kind of skip the banter on these videos, you can just go into the timestamps in the description. So sometimes I go off on a tangent. I just like to kind of give you my, flowing thoughts on these kind of tracks. And, I wouldn't be the first person to put up a version of Steppin' Out. I know that much. But I think everybody has a slightly different perspective on how they learnt it, and how they you know, the different parts that they perceive as being the most interesting, or the most difficult, or the things that you can take and make part of your playing, you know. So anything else I can say about this track before I start kind of teaching it? You know, the one thing when I look back about videos, sometimes it's like the string bending accuracy, I've talked about this before, is something that's kind of like you get really honed into the more that you practice these things. So if you're relearning this for like the 5th time, and that wouldn't surprise me because I'm, you know, I've been there, you know, really think about the vibrato and the string bending accuracy of, because I think there's always improvements to be made there. Sometimes you'll play it and you go, oh, I was a little bit under there, I was a little bit over, or, you know, it's good. They're really interesting things to kind of tweak, and the vibrato elements, you know, especially within the tune, you know, because like the head, he's going, let's make this the lesson now. I'm going to just start teaching the piece. So like when he plays the head, he's bending a semitone, you know, he's going. So sometimes, well, I mean, I say he's bending a semitone, sometimes he's bending the semitone, he's going. Sometimes he's bending, you know, pretty close to that major third, and sometimes he's well under. So it's like. And that 5th string bend should be a tone bend. So, you know, there's those little microtonal things that make the difference. When you hear like Joe Bonamassa playing this style, or someone like that, you know, they've really got closer to that element. The bending and those kind of finer tuned things are much more on it than, say, a guy who's maybe not been playing it as long or studied it as long or something like that. So let's get into it now. What I'm going to do is, because there's obviously quite a lot to this, isn't there? I'm going to just go through each section really slow. I'm just going to play through each chorus really slow, and then I might talk about particular phrases that I've highlighted that I actually had to kind of like practice and focus on in order to kind of be able to play the whole thing. So there's about 4 or 5 licks in the actual piece where you kind of have to extract them and practice them in an isolated kind of way, so then when you can play them in the track, it doesn't train crash, you know. So here we go, let's play the head. I'll just play it pretty slow, so I wouldn't consider the head that tricky, you know. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So there you have the head. You can pretty much probably play that by ear, you know. And there are, you know, times when he slides, other than kind of like hammering on. And it's up to you how, you know, important those things to you, how important those things are to you at this moment in your stage of development. And then you're into the next chorus. You've got. Insert feedback on that note. You need to be really loud to get that, and then. So again, that interesting finger overlapping thing that Clapton does a lot. See the way my second and my third finger are overlapping there? It's a real characteristic of the Clapton style. So things to note in that chorus are, you know, as well he goes, and he does this. You know, that kind of cool slide off thing. You know, some people play that differently, but I think if you just do a really fast kind of a slur on that, as in a slide, you'll get that effect. And And then it's really about string bending and getting those fingerings. The next chorus is... So there's a few bits in that. There's a few bits that are easy to kind of trip up. It's really just anticipating the shifts in position, you know. And on my chart there, I've put slashes in between the phrases. And as I was practicing, I was making a mental note. Okay, jumps up at this point, and it's very easy to kind of miss those little jumps up. I see a lot of triangles on the guitar as well. You know, you can see in the key of G and the pentatonic, you know. I talk about this with my students a lot, you know, look for triangles because they just fit under the finger, especially for blues, really well, especially on the second and third string. So you can see a little triangle there, there. So those 3-point kind of shapes, if you like, can really help you identify with what Clapton's doing, you know. So anyway, let's plow on, will we? So we've just got to this point where we're going. So that's the third chorus if we include the head, and then we've gone into into there. I got into this nasty habit of slapping down like I'm playing on the backbeat with my hands, so just ignore that. You should probably do that. So just octaves to the C. So the chorus before those riffs, again, there's a couple of little trip up points. The first phrase, you know, those kind of like cheeky little bends and the bend downs. So we start in the notes high. So there's that kind of snaky thing. Everything's slightly warped and it's tuning. There's no kind of exact equal temperament notes being played. Everything's, all the minor thirds is just bending ever so slightly up towards the major thirds. So yeah, work through that. Now it all gets crazy and super juicy at 1 minute and 18, where he comes out of the organ solo and it all kicks off, doesn't it? So that he kind of starts with these long notes again. And then he's going up to the, the 13th fret. And then, here's my argument for using light strings again. So like the first finger bend. know. So that's a really nice chorus. It's not super hard, but there's that string bending element of it. And then, okay, right up the dusty end, this is where it gets tricky. And this is one of the killer licks. Now, I isolated that lick and I would play it around the cycle of 5. So here's an example. In F. In B flat. In E flat. A flat. I'm not going to do the whole cycle of 5, but you know, I'll do a couple more. One more. D flat. So you can see what I'm doing there is I'm just moving it around the cycle of 5. I did it in C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, and D flat. And then I would keep going. I go G flat, B, E, A, D, G, C. By the time I'm even halfway around the cycle of 5, that lick is down, it's mine, you know what I mean? I've taken it out, stepping out, it's under my fingers. I find that if I'm just practicing it in that key, in the key of G, because it's stepping out, I can only do it so many times, and I don't nail it in the same way as when I take it through different keys. So that's probably the first lick that I had to extract and then play around the cycle of 5. Then when I get to that bit in the piece, I don't really fall apart. I can kind of hear what's going on. I've really isolated it and nailed it. Okay, so taking it again from there, so you got... I'll just do that slow, that was pretty fast, so... And you got this chord. And that's another example. I'm going to do that around the cycle of 5 in a sec, so you get this. So I would go, right, do it in C. Do it in F. Do it in B flat. You know, and I go all the way around the cycle of 5 doing that. Okay, so let's go back to the original key, which is slowly. And then a first finger bend. That should be fine with a little bit of concentration. And we're nearly there. One more chorus of soloing and you're home and dry. So we've got... I used to take that round the cycle of 5 as well, you know. I'll just go backtrack a little bit so it goes... So that... I'd play in C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat. You know, and I keep going all the way around the cycle of 5. And then by the time I'm at the end, I'm going, yeah, that's not a big deal, really, that lick. You know, you can kind of hear it. And that's the most important thing. Here's one thing I say around here a lot is if you can't hear it, you can't play it. You know what I mean? So you have to find a way of hearing it and just extracting it, playing through all the keys definitely does something to your ear. Okie doke, and then you get... all pretty good, you know, awesome blues phrasing. I'll just play that last chorus again all the way through. So you've got from the bend at the 18th. Okay, and then you have it. You just got to play the head again then. And then a G7 on the end. So one thing, you know, when you're playing that head, don't think of it as really straight. Make sure everything is bending and slightly, you're getting that microtonal blues warp that I kind of call it, you know. It's just a personal thing, you know. If you kind of get into that, it really helps you, you know, capture that kind of blues sound. Everything doesn't have to be perfectly in tune in the traditional sense of tuning. You know, things can be bent to notes which, you know, aren't particularly in a scale, in a Western scale, if you like. So there you have it, Steppin' Out, number 9 in the Eric Clapton Bluesbreakers series. That was really good fun, and I enjoyed it. I learnt a lot, and let's crack on. Let's go forward and do some new things. Like I said, in 2 weeks I'll start a new series. Next week we're going to premiere that full show, full Mike Brookfield Band kind of show, and I hope you can join me for that. And please say hello in the live chat, and if you want to talk about gear or talk about, you know, the songs or anything like that, you know, and or even if you're you know, if you're a booker and you're interested in booking the Mike Brookfield Band for your festival for next year or something, that, you know, that's what it's there for, you know, is to kind of help people know what I do as a guitar player and as a songwriter and stuff like that. So keep it burning, and I'll speak to you soon. And thanks for all the positive messages. And by the way, you know, thanks for people who bought CDs and the t-shirts. The t-shirts are pretty cool. You know, there's not that many of them left, but I mean, like, please, you know, do pick one up if you want to show a bit of support for the channel. Okay, keep it burning though.